We're gonna skip that. And I hate skipping the tutorial because the game likes to bug out on you and keep trying to force you into the tutorial. So I am gonna have to walk around like this. Stumbling around. Oh yeah, Nobunaga, you look pissed. Alright, so my mechanical keyboard can be heard really nicely right now. There's a good chance I just kind of cut this out and redo it in post-editing. Alrighty. But for now, this is fine. I'm kind of annoyed by Musa. The one thing that annoys me is the way their sword hangs here. I really wish it would just kind of hang like this. Alright, we're at the destination. Come on. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Alrighty, getting through these tutorials. I probably am going to skip through this. Anyways, this is going to be number 1, leveling. So, if I'm being honest, leveling in Black Desert up to 50 is super simple. You just follow the Black Spirit, and for this guide, it is essential that on at least one of your characters, you do follow the Black Spirit. Just because one of the key items for getting to 400 gear score as cheaply as possible, which will save you about 45 million silver, even a bit more than that because the item's pretty good, is from the Black Spirit quests. Honestly, if you want to get one of the rings more easily as well, then...
Press the control key to turn the mouse on
Oh,
or off.
no, we are not using that. Oof. Anyways, what was I saying? Right. Honestly, if you want to get the Osceola ring more easily, which is another of the items that is pretty key to getting to 400 cheaply, then you will really want to do that. You'll want to follow the Black Spirit quests. Oops. Oh, come on, I'm clearly using this skill. And that was the last time Stub Arrow was ever used before, the character started PvPing. Alright, now we get to fight grass beetles. Okay. I'll be honest, grass beetles are pretty easy. In fact, everything is pretty easy to kill early on, so... So, some of you are probably wondering at this point why I'm doing this on a new character and not on a new account. The reason is because I really do feel that I will be continuing this series later on. Not just 400, but probably to 450 and even 500, which even my main is not at yet. And if I'm going to get to those levels of strength, I don't want to do it on a separate account because you cannot trade in Black Desert, and that means all the progression would be lost. So rather than... Let's take out my pets, actually. So rather than simply losing all the progress and wanting to kill myself... Oh, come on, Weasel. I'm going to be doing it on my main account. Especially because, honestly, a lot of these are more kind of self-imposed for me. Like, if I wanted to, I could just make this a video where I show you guys the best items to get to 400, progressing up. But showing you the process is, I believe, pretty important as well. Especially for people that really want a 100% accurate representation. The process is pretty important. So that's why I'm doing it on this account, because later on I am going to be using my main, or even making the Musa my main, just so that I can continue the series and keep going onwards. I'm kind of hoping to do the series at least once a week to 400. Going past 400 once a week would be pretty difficult, just because there's only so much progression you can actually do. Looks like someone else is killing my wolves, so let's, ah, come on. Like, even my main right now, I could get to 450 right now if I wanted to spend a bit of money. I'm saving that money to get a bigger upgrade. But past 400, it's pretty difficult to progress. Like, 400 is the minimum Nodewar's guilds accept, but most guilds will accept 450. The top ones obviously won't, but most guilds will. And the top guilds, if you're 500, you're probably totally fine to get in. So anyways, I'm just kind of doing this, following these quests. It almost feels like I'm streaming, if I'm being honest. Like, this kind of feels like a stream. I'm not sure if I'm going to add this to the 0 recording, because I've technically got this in 2 separate videos. Or if I'm going to make this its own video and kind of have a condensed version, which is the series, and then a longer version, which is well, I guess this really, which I'll just kind of post for people that want to watch the entire thing, the entire journey. I don't think I'm going to record the entire journey, honestly. Like, eventually we get pretty boring to watch, especially once I get higher level. For example, I'm going to be farming Manshaws for probably about an hour later on, which would be pretty boring to watch. I'll probably still record at that point. When I start farming for the Oscula set, like, at that point it's just, it could take hours and hours to farm for that. And I really feel that that's too much for anyone to really watch. I'm not going to be doing the Black Spirit quest on this character. I'll be, I'm just going to kind of show the quick way to level on this character. Well, the quick way to level without gear. My previous videos on leveling are really the long way to level. But this video is more... see if I can kill all these guys. Probably have a few upgrades, honestly, if I look in my inventory. Yep, I've got a Militia Blade and Rebar Gloves. Perfect. And a Militia Gauntlet, but I don't need that. What was I saying? But they're always... Right, the levels that I've gained on the other guides are more... They're kind of cheating because I'm using gear for my main. And honestly speaking, proper leveling would involve actually leveling like from scratch without buying anything. But not only is that really boring, but if you ask me, your first time leveling, you should always follow the Black Spirit's quest. Like, no, full stop. Your first time leveling, follow the Black Spirit's quest, just because you're likely to have chosen the class that you liked the most the first time you picked a class. And if you did so, and you want to make them your main, you're going to want to do the Black Spirit's quest regardless, just for inventory space. So inventory space is fairly limited in this game. There's a maximum of 196, but a free-to-play player will max out around 60-ish, I want to say. And I'm not even sure if that's 60-ish with the value pack. It might be actually 60 with value pack added, and only around 40 to 50, I believe, without a value pack. Which means that if you like your character and you actually want to use them to grind or do other things, you're going to want those free inventory spaces that doing the Black Spirit's quest will give you. Like, I'll do the first few quests just going to Heidel, just because they're pretty easy, and, well, they give inventory space, which is pretty useful. But after that point, I will stop doing Black Spirit's quest and just focus on purely leveling. It's also important no matter what, even if you don't plan to do the Black Spirit's quest on the character, that you do Black Spirit's quest up to the Ancient Stone Chamber. And there's a reason for this, because you cannot enhance items. So if you want to upgrade your gear, which you want to upgrade your gear, you need to be able to... Your Black Spirit needs teeth. You can see my Black Spirit right now is literally just a black blob with 2 red eyes. So this is actually the quest that I'm pretty much just embarking on right now. I talk to this chick in the next room, and then she'll send me to the Ancient Stone Chamber. So eat in the Explorer, go to the Ancient Stone Chamber. Perfect. And I believe actually there's a quest over here for that you should also do. Probably just outside. You can see it on the minimap right there. Where he asks you to kill wolves, which you should do that as well because it gives you an inventory spot. But I'm not going to do it on this character as it's going to be deleted after I get to 50. Well, eventually. As I do need space for the Lahn. Once the Lahn comes out, I'll be doing a really long series purely focused on the Lahn, which is going to be pretty sick. But until that happens, it's just going to be a series focused on the Musa. So, yeah, so once you go to the Ancient Stone Chamber, that's where your Black Spirit gets teeth, and that's what will allow you to enhance items, so weapon and armor. And you want to do that because there's a huge difference between an enhanced and an unenhanced weapon and armor. If you have a +0 Rosar blade, which I'll be getting fairly soon, then that blade is pretty much worthless to you. I mean, it's not worthless. Like, I'm still going to use it. It's going to be way better than this militia blade I'm using. But a +0 has nothing on a +7, +7 has nothing on a +15, and a +15's got nothing on a Tet. So it's pretty obvious to see that the enhancements are necessary, and to enhance on a character you need to do the Ancient Stone Chamber. The only people that usually skip Ancient Stone Chamber is if you don't plan to use the character at all. Like, I want to be able to enhance on this character because he's going to be taking care of the gear all the way up to 50, because he's going to have to make his own gear or buy his own gear. I do plan to buy most of my own gear during the series. For the most part, it's going to be green gear, because getting to 400, and even to about 450, you're relying on green gear. Past that, you'll start to transition to boss gear, but even then, a lot of it will be green or blue gear. For example, the weapon that we're going to be using is the Rosar Blade. We're not going to upgrade to a Zarka. Not for a long time, probably about level 58-ish we might decide to upgrade to a Zarka. But that would be far in the future, and that would not be for 400, that would be 450 or maybe even 500. Because up to then, you don't need a Zarka. A Rosar does just fine. Alrighty. And now my Black Spirit will come up and have teeth now, woo, which means I can do Enhancement. Alrighty, so you get the gift. There you see, nice inventory spot. This one's a +2. Most of the other ones after this will be +1 though. And get my inventory spot, activate it. And on to the next quest. So the nice thing about Black Spirit quest, and one of the main reasons I recommend it to everyone on their first character, is because not only does it give inventory spots, it takes you to level appropriate leveling zones. On the Alvia server, you will outlevel these. This character is kind of going to level a bit more slowly because he's only going to have access to the daily buffs. He will not have access to the Alvia server buff unless I'm leveling on a weekend, because on the weekends everyone gets the buff. So on the Alvia server you will outlevel a little bit, but by the time you get to Manshaws you will be forced to slow down and just level at Manshaws or Catfishmen for a while, which is good because they drop one of the items that's pretty good for your first items. They drop the Lure armor set and the Tree Spirit Echo accessory set. Hey. So I mean, it feels really weird not to be one-shotting these, because literally any amount of AP past like 20 one-shots these things. But this character is a full beginner, and as such, he is not able to one-shot, unfortunately. He also has a really bad gear. Luckily I've got the pets out, which means I'm at least getting drops, but I'm not getting a lot of drops. So I feel I should probably explain the other classes now, as I kind of only went over Wizard, Witch, and Striker. I didn't really give them a good introduction. So Wizard, Witch, and Striker, they're all pretty powerful classes. They are pretty much the top 4 classes in the game right now. After Wizard, Witch, and Striker, it would probably be Warrior. And then you've got kind of a mishmash of the mid classes, with Dark Knight probably heading up the pack. You've got Valkyrie is pretty strong. Sorceress is pretty strong, but she's being memed right now. And also, she takes a lot of effort to make work. Maehwa is extremely powerful in 1v1s and is very fast. Her grinding, it's not painful, but it's a little slower than some other classes, such as Musa here. As Maehwa and Musa, they're pretty much identical until 56, but at 56, their awakenings take them in slightly different directions. Apart from those, so Wizard and Witch, okay, so I'll start with them. Wizard and Witch are your typical Western spellcasters. Big, flashy, fire, ice, lightning, explosions. The Witch, in her awakening, will also use earthquakes and other stuff like that. They both have access to the earthquake spell before level 40, I want to say, around level 40. But once they awaken, the Wizard focuses on fire and water, and the Witch focuses on lightning and earth spells. They're flashy, lots of explosions, huge amounts of AoE, tons of utility. Both of them have a very powerful healing spell. Both of them have a very powerful group buff spell. They're just all-around amazing classes, especially in AoE PvP, and they're also really good at grinding. They're also 2 of the only ranged classes in the game, which makes them pretty good just in general, and they're a lot of fun too. So Wizard and Witch are probably the strongest 2 classes. After that, there's Mystic and Striker. Mystic and Striker are both very powerful. In 1v1, both of them will stomp Wizard and Witch, just because they're amazing 1v1, and also because they both get access to extra magical damage resistance for some weird reason, which allows them to really destroy Wizard, Witch, Sorceress, Dark Knight, and to an extent, Tamer. I'm not sure if I'm missing a class there. They're unarmed fighters. They use a lot of brawling. Once they awaken, the Striker gets access to the Echo Spirit, which allows him to summon clones to help him in combat. And the Mystic gets access to this Water Dragon, which helps her cast more powerful fists and kicking attacks. Very, very eloquent there. Then you've got the Dark Knight. So the Dark Knight is my main class. Dark Knight is a melee 2-handed sword fighter spellcaster hybrid. She uses very powerful sword strikes combined with AoE dark magic to attack. She's very agile. She's called Dark Knight, but she's very, very agile. Has a lot of iframes and dodges. She's got very good AoE damage. But she is a pure DPS. She's not a tank at all. She will melt in 1 or 2 hits. So you do have to kind of be quick on your feet. She used to be very powerful. Like Dark Knight used to be pretty much the strongest in the game, right up there with Wizard and Witch. But after a few nerfs and the release of Mystic and Striker, which hard counter her, she's not as useful, but she's still very, very fun. Then after Dark Knight, you've got Dark Knight 1.0, which is the Sorceress. And the Sorceress, she is pretty much the emo kid in the game. She uses dark magic at melee range in her pre-awakened form. And when she awakens, she gets this huge-ass scythe, which she uses to hack apart her enemies, which looks really cool. She looks amazing. She feels really fun to play. She's got all these iframes and stuff, invisibilities. It's just, you do have to animation cancel to do well with her. And it requires a bit more effort to get optimal results out of a Sorc than it does from other classes. But if you do, a good Sorceress in 1v1 combat is a scary thing. And she is a lot of fun to play. So, I mean, don't let the fact that Sorceress is kind of memed upon in the community let you not play Sorceress. If you want to play Sorceress, she is a lot of fun. And the fact that she's weak right now means a lot of people are selling her gear, which makes it easier for you to get. So, win-win. After the Sorceress, there's the Warrior and the Valkyrie. So the Warrior and the Valkyrie they're kind of a paired class, but I would say they're the least similar of all the paired classes, because there's a few paired classes where you have a male and female version of the same class that are pretty similar in terms of playstyle. And the warrior and the Valkyrie are probably the least similar, because warrior and ninja and Kunoichi, striker and mystic, Musa and Maehwa, witch and wizard, all of these have pretty much identical pre-awakened forms. They all use the same weapons. They all have pretty much the exact same skill trees. Musa and Maehwa have like one skill that's different. Striker and mystic have 2 or 3 that are a little different. Kuno and ninja are pretty much identical. Wizard and witch are pretty much identical. But warrior and Valkyrie, while they have the same weapon sets until awakening and the same general skills, they use them very differently. The Valkyrie is more of a paladin. The warrior is pretty much a traditional warrior, duh. But the Valkyrie is more of a paladin. They both use a sword and shield, but the Valkyrie has a lot of holy magic, healing spells, and other kind of group buffs, where the warrior is more focused on fighting alone. He has a lot more, not a lot more, but he has more crowd control. He has more offensive options, but a few less defensive options. In general, honestly, in this game, the male version of a class will have more defensive or offensive options, and the female version will have more defensive options. Like the female version usually has a guard that they can cast on their own, and the male version usually has, well, no guard. So, is this where I want to go? Here we are. So yeah, it is where I want to go. So in general, you can assume that the female, if the class is a paired version, then you can assume that the female is going to have blocks or more defensive options, and the male version will have more damage or a grab or more offensive options. So the warrior and the Valkyrie, both very powerful classes, both have a block, both have a grab, both very good in 1v1. They're also pretty good in Node Wars just because they're very tanky, which means they can actually survive in the middle of the Zerg and, well, not die, which is very important in a Node War, as when you're fighting against another guild, or even 2 or 3 guilds, and there's 50 or 60 people all throwing spells and AoEs all at the same spot, it gets pretty hectic, and not dying becomes a very valuable attribute. So, in the end, not dying is pretty special, and they also have pretty good damage. Like, Warrior's 100% skill, it will mess you up. Like, not even gonna lie, Warrior's 100% skill is going to destroy you. 100,000 silver is not quite enough for me to afford the Rosar Blade yet, so we'll have to keep going. So, for this series, where I'm going to be storing all of the stuff for this character is Keplen. I've emptied out the storage there, and I'll show you that in a second. So, Keplen is way down here. I only have a single worker that works in Keplen, and he brings back powder of crevice and coal. Apart from that, nothing else in the Keplen storage has a silver value. That is purely the value of powder of crevice and coal, which I will not be using for this character. This character is going to make Keplen the home base until he hits 50, at which point the Maehwa and then later the Musa will make Keplen their home base. So I might not even use the Maehwa, I might just go purely straight to the Musa once this character hits 50, because if you can hit 50, you can hit 56. Once you hit 50, pretty much the main important part of grinding is done, and it just becomes... Well, not grinding, sorry, the questing part is for the most part done. You just have to do the dim magical armor quest to make roaring magical armor, and then it just becomes grinding until 56, and grinding would be grinding for the Oscula set. Anyways, back to the classes. So Warrior and Valk, both pretty cool. A lot of fun if you want to play them. They're not boring, don't worry. And they're not bad. They're both pretty high up there in terms of tiers. After the Warrior and the Valk, there's the Musa and the Maehwa. So Musa You can kind of get a gist of what they're like just now. They're both based on traditional Korean warriors. A lot of people will call them kind of like samurai, but they're actually based on the traditional Korean warrior. And they're both pretty sweet. They're very mobile. As you can see, this thing I'm kind of spamming, chase, which lets me go forward and backwards very quickly. It allows you to really move around the battlefield very, very well. Like, there's no way for you to really catch up to Musa or Maehwa on most classes, unless you're playing like a ranger, which can just purely outrun them if they don't have enough potions. And even then, it's pretty difficult, and if the Musa or Maehwa is good, they can, every time you catch up, they'll just escape again. So you need to one-shot them, which is pretty difficult if they've got a decent evasion build going on. So both of them use a blade and a horn bow, so you can see the horn bow on my back in the pre-awakened form, and then once they're awakened, they both use a polearm, but they use a different polearm. The Musa uses a glaive. It's called the Crescent Blade, and it allows him to have a lot of very powerful sweeping AoE attacks. The Maehwa uses the Carry Spear, which is, well, a spear. It's also very powerful, but it's more for piercing attacks going forward, and isn't as good at AoE as the Musa is. It is still pretty good though, so, I mean, Maehwa is honestly the better class right now. Musa is not in a great spot. The Maehwa does quite a few things better than the Musa does. If you can get Musa to a very, very high level of AP, he'll start to do really well. And everyone tries to defend the Musa using that. Oh, if you get them to... There's a lot of Musas doing really well in high-level Node Wars. Or not a lot, but there's like one or two. And like the highest gear score player in the world, or one of the highest, Bong from Korea, is a Musa. And look what he does. But what they fail to mention is the amount of players that can get to that gear score, that's like the top 0.1%. Like, we're talking insane amounts of gear score here. That this 400 gear score, not even close. 450, not even close. 500, you're starting to get there. Musa will start to do a lot better, but it's still not quite at the point where Musa is going to be as good as another class that is better than Musa that you've already invested in up to that point. He'll start to equal the others later on, but seriously, 500 gear score, that's an insane amount of gear score for most players to have. It's a lot. So, Musa and Maehwa, they're both very fun, very mobile. Personally, my favorite class in terms of just class fantasy is the Musa. He's a really cool class, and he's pretty awesome. It's why I'm going to use him for this video instead of maybe a more deserving class for Node Wars. Like, if I wanted to actually get into a Node War guild that's not my current guild, I'd have just rolled a wizard and gone to like 350 and been like, hey, I'm a wizard that's gearing up quickly, let me into the guild. And pretty much any guild would say yes, just because wizard, well, maybe not at 350 they'd say yes, but like 375 they'd say yes. So after Musa Maehwa, Ninja and Kunoichi is the next class, next two classes that come to mind. Ninja and Kunoichi, can I interact with this? Do I need... Nah, I need a key. Ninja and Kunoichi are more like assassins. They're both very powerful in single target combat, 1v1 PvP, fighting for grinding spots, but they're a little less powerful if you want to do Node Wars. Ninja's worse than Kunoichi just because Ninja doesn't have as much AoE, and Ninja doesn't have the same number of defensive tools that the Kunoichi gets once they're both awakened. They're both okay, but neither of them really excel at anything apart from 1v1, which for the purpose of Node War isn't really what you want. You want to be doing pretty well in AoE damage, and you want to be doing it fairly safely with super armors and just generally safe damage. You don't want to have to get into the thick of stuff without any protection from all the crowd control or damage that's being thrown around. And Ninjas and Kunoichis have problems doing that. So in like really small scale Node Wars, like if you're fighting one other guild and you're both fairly evenly matched, both can do fairly well. But there we go, that's a nice little upgrade. But if you're in like a slightly larger fight, or if you're going for a node and there's multiple guilds there and you're being besieged by a few at once, both classes are going to have problems. Like my guild leader is a really good ninja. He's pretty powerful. I've never actually beaten him in a duel. I've been really close, but I've never actually beaten him in a duel. But he has like Tet boss gear weapons. But he has a lot of problems in the node wars that we fight, just because as a ninja, there's not that much you can actually do. Sad to say, but that's just how it goes. There's not too much you can actually do that will let you survive in the middle of a node war that other classes can't do better. However, there are still very fun classes. Don't let that deter you from playing them. Hopefully they'll get buffs eventually for node wars. But right now, in terms of 1v1, I hate fighting ninjas and kunoichis because they have so many tools at their disposal to go in and out of a fight and to really turn the fight around, as well as to really target a single player and mess them up. Fighting a single ninja is really nerve-wracking, honestly. So don't let that deter you from playing the class, but just be aware that they are weaker in node wars, which is really the end game of Black Desert. They're also not amazing at grinding. Kuno's better than Ninja just because Kuno has more AoE, but neither of them are absolutely bonkers at grinding. They are both outgrinded by other classes. After Kuno and Ninja, I guess we'll go to Tamer. So Tamer is kind of an interesting class. It's one of the original classes that came out with Black Desert, along with, I haven't covered the Ranger or the Berserker yet for original classes. And it's a pretty powerful class. It's just like, it has the same problem, honestly, that Ninja and Kunoichi has, in that, what? Did I kill it? Oh no, it just sat down. Okay, that's weird. Go away, Giyeth. It has the same problem that Ninja and Kunoichi has, in that it's just not that good in AoE fights. It's very good at 1v1s, but in terms of AoE fights, it's just not that amazing. There are better classes, and the Tamer really is kind of outdone. Tamer also has kind of the same problem the Sorceress has, which is Tamer has a lot of animation cancels. In fact, I believe Tamer has the most animation cancels of any class in the game. Which means that if you want to do well at Tamer, you can do okay, just... donkey, yay. You can do okay if you just want to kind of float around and use the class normally. But if you want to do really well, you need to learn the animation cancels. A few of them you can kind of learn just by playing the class, and a few of them you'll have to look up online. And really, it's a class that will excel. You'll excel at Tamer if you have the animation cancels, but even excelling at Tamer, you're not going to be amazing in Node Wars. You are still going to have the problem that you lack super armor, you lack AoE, and other classes can blow you up fairly easily. Tamers also take extra magic damage for no reason whatsoever, so that's also a thing. However, Tamer is the only pet class in Black Desert, so if you want a pet and you don't want it to be just like the Echo Spirit or Mystic's Water Dragon thingy, Tamer is really the class for you. Unfortunately, you do have to play a tiny little lolly girl, which, I mean, for some of you that may be a benefit, for others it might be a curse, so it could go either way, I suppose. So yeah, so that's Tamer. Berserker is... he's kind of the opposite of Tamer, honestly. They're not a paired class, but Tamers are these tiny little... they almost look like children. Whereas Berserkers are these huge... they're literally giants. Like, that is... a Berserker is a giant. And they use a pair of axes. The Tamer's weapons, I guess I should say. They use a short sword and a bow staff once they awaken. The Ninja and the Kunoichi both use a short sword, as well as kunai and shurikens. And when they awaken, the Ninja gets a ton of freaking swords called the Surikatana. It's like 6 katanas. Whereas the Kunoichi gets the Saw Chakram, which is a giant steel frisbee, pretty much. The Berserker uses a pair of axes, and when he awakens, he gets what's called the Iron Buster, which is pretty much a cannon that he puts on his hand. And it looks pretty sweet. He does kind of lack damage. I'll be honest. The Berserker's damage is kind of lacking. But he does have a grab combo. I haven't ridden a donkey in the longest time, I'll be honest. He has a huge grab combo. Berserker can grab you and take you like halfway across a battlefield. It's actually insane. There's all these clips on YouTube of Berserkers grabbing people and jumping off cliffs with them and surviving because they have naturally high HP. They're a very tanky class. They're very useful in Nodewars actually for picking one class and saying, alright, you're coming with me and we're going to kill you. And it's just a very good class in general. It doesn't do the most damage, but it's very tanky. It's very useful to have. You want a few Berserkers in your guild no matter what, just because it's very useful to have them. And honestly, a lot of people's class fantasy is Berserker because Berserkers are pretty cool. After the Berserker, there's the Ranger. So the Ranger was the original OP class in Black Desert. The Ranger is, just like the name describes, a Ranger. She's a female elven huntress. She uses a bow and a dagger. And then when she awakens, she gets the Kama-Sylvan Sword, which allows her to summon spirits and turns her into a very agile melee fighter. Until recently, the Ranger was kind of bad because once you awaken, once you awakened, you didn't have to give them up. But, okay, donkeys take forever to stop, wow. But once you awakened, you didn't have to give them up. But the awakened skills, like your awakened weapon, was way better than your non-awakened stuff. Like if you were a Musa, once you awakened, you gave up the blade. Despite having studied the blade, you gave up the blade and you picked up the Crescent Blade. Because the Crescent Blade was just that much better. It was same for every other class. And so the Ranger, she gave up the bow and went into melee range. But she didn't have any super armors, she just had a bunch of evasion. And she didn't really have any range techniques anymore, which made her a lot worse. So the Ranger had a lot of problems. But recently, they buffed the pre-awakening for all classes. So if you can see there's absolute skills, which is just a stronger version of that skill. It's basically the awakened version of the skill. Like you can see, required level for Carver Typhoon or Carver 3, 20 or higher than 38 or higher. Required level for Absolute Carver, 58 or higher. You only start learning them after 56 when you awaken. So, throw a point into there. Can I learn Rising Storm yet? Oh, I've already learned it. Perfect. So, being able to use your bow skills again means Rangers are back in the fray. They're pretty strong again, and they're doing well. They have good damage. They have ranged attacks again, and Rangers have kind of refound their purpose in life, fighting from a range. So Rangers, very agile class. You have to play a female, just like the Tamer, the Dark Knight, the Sorceress. You get a bow, you get a really sweet one-handed sword, you get a dagger. It's a fun class just in general, and they're kind of coming back into the limelight again. So Rangers, pretty damn good choice if you want to play the game. And Rangers a lot of people's first class because not only are they a lot of fun, but using the bow it kind of grows on you in Black Desert. The bow at first when you use it doesn't feel like any other game because it feels a lot less powerful than a game like, for example, Skyrim. That's Rising Storm that I just used. Hey, a Blackstone. Perfect. I needed those. But once you've played around with it for a while, it starts to feel pretty good. And it's really nice to have a ranged attack, honestly, especially if you've been playing a class such as Musa, who technically has a bow but never uses it because his bow sucks. Except for PvP, and even in PvP, his bow isn't great. So the Ranger is pretty cool. Alright, what classes haven't I covered? Let's see. Striker, Mystic. I'll press T here. Striker, Mystic, Witch, Wizard, Warrior, Valkyrie, Sorceress, Dark Knight, Tamer, Berserker, Ninja, Kunoichi, Musa, Maehwa. I feel I'm missing one. Could not tell you what class I'm missing though. I don't have any extra character slots to remake it. I really feel I'm missing a single class. It's gonna be a class I play too. Just watch. The whatever class I'm forgetting right now. It's gonna be like a class I play or something. Let's check if anyone in the guild plays. Warrior, Ranger, Sorceress, Berserker, Tamer, Striker, Musa, Maehwa, Mystic, Valkyrie, Ninja, Dark Knight, Wizard. Maybe I named them all? Maybe it's just a class that no one plays? Like... Well, there is a way to look this up. I do have something here with all of the classes on it somewhere. Piece of paper. Alright. We have Warrior, Valkyrie, Ranger, Berserker, Tamer, Sorceress, Wizard, Witch. Really? I don't have all the classes in this? Wow, I am a failure. Alright, we're going to pretend that's all the classes. If I'm missing a class, well, I'm missing a class. The Lahn comes out... Because I know Lahn comes out eventually. The Lahn is coming out... We have no idea when the Lahn's coming out, honestly. If the Lahn had come out already, I'd be making this video as a Lahn. Kind of puts a damper on this video so far. I suppose this video is more about actually just leveling this class though, but... Alrighty. We're going to turn to the almighty Google. Because Google solves everything. And makes my computer lag, because it takes up all my RAM. Let's mute this tab before music starts playing. Alright, well, what should we discuss in the meantime? Alright, so I suppose my plans for gear. So, the plans for gear for this character are pretty simple. I'm going to need about 350 million silver. And once I have the silver... Alright, Warrior, Ranger, Sorceress, Berserker, Valkyrie, Wizard and Witch, Tamer, Maehwa, Musa, Ninja, Kunoichi, Dark Knight, Striker. This doesn't... Does this not have Mystic on it? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13... Well, I think I covered all these. Yeah, Warrior, Ranger, Sorceress, Berserker, Valkyrie, Wizard, Witch, Tamer, Maehwa, Musa, Ninja, Kuno, Dark Knight, Striker. I guess I did cover all the classes. Sweet. Alright, so the plan for this is pretty simple in terms of gear. I need about 350 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but realistically is not. And once I get there, well, not once I get there, I'm going to be kind of going along as I go, upgrading the gear as it comes. But right now, what I'm focused on is getting a better sword. I want a Rosar blade. Getting a Rosar blade is pretty much the top priority right now. So I need to get to Kepler to deposit all this money so I can see how much I have. I am going to give myself a small starting allowance of probably about 1 million silver, I'd imagine. But I'm not going to give it to myself until a bit later because, well, that feels kind of bad. Also, this character, for anyone starting right now, they do technically get a free piece of boss gear. And my piece of boss gear was a Kutum box. So I've got a Kutum box. I'm not going to open that for my Musa or Maehwa because, well, upgrading it would be more of a pain than it's actually worth, especially for an early player. Boss gear is more of a curse than a blessing for a new player because they know that it's the best gear they can get, so they want to upgrade it. But upgrading boss gear costs hundreds of millions of silver, and green gear is not so much worse than boss gear until much later levels. Like if I'm looking at a plus 15 green versus plus 15 boss gear is only going to be better by a few points. But it's going to cost about 5 or 6, not 5 or 6 times, 10 to 15 times as much as a plus 15 green gear the same type. Like, it's actually insane. I feel like such a pleb riding this donkey. Like, it's actually pretty funny riding a donkey. Need to turn on Great Big C's donkey riding. In fact, why don't I do that? Hey ho, away we go. Alright, donkey riding, boys. Honestly, I should have headphones on for this, but whatever. Alright, so this is where I'm going to stop following the quests, because, well, it doesn't really benefit me much to follow the quests any further than this. Yes, I'll get a few more stuff, but on this character, I don't need to, as the character that's going to be getting the Dim Tree armor, not Dim Tree, sorry, if he was getting Dim Tree, I'd be so happy, would be different, and they've already done those quests. Let's stop following quests for now. Also, I'm going to put in the headphones just so that you guys can not have to listen to the reverb. Alrighty, 1 second while I do that. Oh, don't fall off, you stupid headphones. I should also probably get to bed soon because it's like 5 a.m. But, you do what you have to do for your art. And I guess I should tinker with those settings, Alrighty, so I'll turn that down a bit, just so it doesn't cut it through my own voice too much. Alright, but let's just get back on Donk here. And I guess we should offload some of our silver here. So let's look at our current profit. We've got a bunch of blades. Won't sell for too much, honestly. The Elsh blade will get us a decent amount on the marketplace, as will the Aswell blade. So I guess we can afford the Rosar blade now. We'll also sell some stuff to... God, getting out the donkey takes forever. So if we sell all this stuff, we should actually earn quite a bit. And I'll put it into the inventory just so we can see the price. Black Desert really needs a sell trash button, if I'm being honest. Don't want to bother selling those in the market. Yes, enjoy this song. Rusty Blade, Militia Blade. Alrighty, so we've got 48,000 silver, plus this, which is worth 100,000 silver. And a few items that'll sell for a decent amount of silver, so let's go buy ourselves that Rosar Blade. I won't be able to upgrade it yet because we don't have any weapon stones, but we can try. So, register item. Register for minimum. And without full durability. 99 out of 100. Ah, come on. You're robbing me blind here. Alright, let's go to talk to Tekthon. Prepare it for like 1 silver. Get ran over by a giant pink carriage. Because that's the ideal way to die. Alright, we'll turn off the music now because I'm actually talking again. Alright, register. Confirm. So you kind of want to register weapons you get. Just because, especially as an early game player, they will sell for a decent amount. We could actually use this. In fact, is that a weapon item? Yeah, we're actually going to keep that because that will go into our brand new weapon. So, blade, a Rosa blade. It's only 45,000. Perfect. We'll even use our balance to buy it because we can. Alrighty, and there we go. Just like that, we have a Rosar blade. So you can see already just the base Rosar blade is better than the Aswell blade we're using. Let's sell the Aswell blade. For some reason I can't sell this striker thing. Probably have to sell it to that other thing. Rough stones. Might as well not sell those. They won't sell for enough to really matter. Plus you don't want to sell rough stones. They're useful. Alright, and just like that we have a Rosar blade. So there are a few other items that if I had a bit more silver would be really cheap and pretty worthwhile to get. But we don't have enough silver, so we won't go forward with it. Sell that, and the rest of it we'll keep. We have another 100,000 silver, which is enough for some really base accessories. But I'm not sure if it's worth getting those just yet. My donkey should be just up here. Now let's turn in this this gold bar. Stop it from taking up weight in the inventory. So you do that by going to currency exchange. And just like that, we have extra weight in the inventory, but we can use it to buy good stuff for us, so we don't care. I suppose the other thing I should be doing, because I need to take every advantage I can get, is using the Black Spirit's Adventure 2. Now, by the time you watch this video, this might not exist anymore. But maybe it will. Let's run while I'm doing this. Alright, special event. Interesting. Well, that's totally useless. Let's go choose combat over here. Sum of dice over 6. It's like a 1 in 2 chance for me to get that. Are you kidding me? Really? Really? Oh, I feel robbed. Well, no one ever said the Black Spirit was a good person or spirit. So our first few accessories. Actually, do we want accessories or do we want a sub weapon? We can just afford a white horn bow, which is 6 AP, which is plus 4. We cannot afford a try, unfortunately. So plus 4 AP, or we could go for like a ring or a necklace or something. If we go for a necklace, we want bears, and there's no bears on there. Because bears is really the only thing worth getting. We have just not enough to get the bear's earring. We can afford a bear's ring, though. And a bear's belt. Alright, let's do this. We'll buy a ring. And we'll buy a belt because belts give you weight limit increase. And just like that, all our funds are gone, but we've gained a bit of extra AP. So, now that we're in Heidel, I guess this is a pretty good place to end the first... this isn't really an episode, this is more me talking while I level the character. And I'll be editing this later for an actual episode. But I'll be releasing this as kind of unedited raw footage. And kind of continuing onwards with... What level is my character? 17? We can go over here. And continuing onwards with the series as kind of we go along. So really the trick right now that all I'm really doing is trying to... Oh, actually I should socket that weapon. So right before we go, let's socket the weapon. And to do that, we go to transfusion, put that in, and just like that we have a bit of extra accuracy. And accuracy is good because accuracy lets us fight higher level monsters and hit them. Now we've got a pair of binder earrings, which give 4 accuracy, but we don't really have very much accuracy. We have 28 in total right now, which is nothing when you consider that a single Zarka gives... Not a Zarka, sorry. A single Sayer Knot for DK at Tri gives like 90 accuracy. So you can really kind of see that we have nothing in terms of accuracy. Anyways, guys, I'll be continuing this series kind of intermittently. Expect at least 1 episode a week, both of unedited and actually edited footage. I'll release the prologue episode tonight, kind of like the first bit, and then I'll probably edit it, so I might not release it till tomorrow night, actually, after I get off work. But you can expect, at the very latest, it'll be up by this weekend, like the 17th, 18th. And yeah. Anyways, guys, this has been pretty fun. Kind of like unedited footage, just watching me play. Not sure how successful the unedited stuff will be, but I'll be posting it for those that want to really see the entire journey. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed watching this. Have a good one.